Viewer discretion is advised. In the United States, the illegal drug trade is estimated to be a $100 billion a year industry. From the drug dealers, to the drug addicts, to law enforcement officials who try to put a stop to it, we take you inside the American drug game. My job is to supply a certain part of the country with whatever drugs they need. New York City is a very lucrative city for me. I'm able to generate a ton of money in New York. A lot of the product I move is with the higher end clientele. These people don't want to have to go to a bad neighborhood to buy their drugs. So that's where me and my people come in. My general customer in New York City is someone who is extremely wealthy, someone who money is no object. These people are willing to pay any price to get what they want. They could go to the ghetto to buy their drugs and get it for a lot cheaper. But with me, you're not just getting drugs, you're getting great customer service. And these people, they pay for the convenience of never having to put themselves in any type of dangerous situation. I'm not someone that they have to worry about. They know that I'm a completely different type of drug dealer. I'm what you would consider a high-end drug dealer. These are high-end people, and so that's what they want. They want everything high-end. The people I'm selling drugs to, they don't want anyone to know that they're involved in these type of activities. They need to keep things very secretive for their own benefit. And because they want to keep things so secret, it's beneficial to me. They're very low-key about what they do. And being very low-key, that's how you stay off the cops' radar. I'm not one of these drug dealers you see standing on a street corner or in some trap house. This is all very low-key, very secretive. In New York City, sometimes I'm making drug deals in a $20 million penthouse. My rich customers who buy from me will tell their other rich friends about me, and that's kind of how I network in these type of people, and that's how my customer base grows. People I sell to have rich friends, and they'll network with these other people, and there's times where I'm sometimes in these places making these deals and their friends are around, and one thing leads to another, and next thing you know, you have a new customer. I work in many different cities, but New York City is very unique. Most of these people are functioning drug addicts. Anything from somebody who works on Wall Street to some housewife on the Upper East Side. You would be very surprised if you knew who some of my clients were. Some of these people are very well known in the entertainment business or in the political world. Some of these people are CEOs of Fortune 500 companies. Some of the clients I have, I've never even seen face to face. Some of these people, they prefer to use their assistants or people they have working for them to make these transactions. The way it works is there are certain days of the week that I'm in New York City. I'll make contact with my people who work in the city. I'll let them know what days of the week that I'll be in town.
I was a undercover narcotics detective. I was assigned to different parts of the city during my career. During my career, I had a chance to work in some of the higher end neighborhoods, some of the more upscale neighborhoods. It was definitely a challenge when working in these neighborhoods compared to the lower income neighborhoods. In the more upscale parts of town, people are very different. Everybody you bump into is somehow connected to someone in power. They would be connected to law enforcement or politicians or even celebrities. These people really believe that they are just completely untouchable. They're very privileged, very entitled. They often would treat the police as the hired help, as they would say. Definitely have to be a little more clever when trying to catch these type of people who are involved in drug activity. It's a completely different world. These people run with a completely different circle of people. Have to be a lot more strategic with how you operate. They have the money and the power to hide their activity very well. They will often hire people who will get the drugs for them, and these people, it's their job that if something goes wrong, they're required to take the fall for them. They will cover for the people that they're working for. That's their job, that's what they're paid to do. Oftentimes if they were caught and did get in trouble or were arrested in the process of getting drugs for their employer, they would make up stories and do anything they could to not put any attention on the people that they were working for. And they knew that when they did that they were going to be well compensated for it. Keeping your mouth shut, when you're dealing with these type of people, you get rewarded, with money because they have the money to spend. These type of people will spend any amount of money to stay out of trouble. Money is just another toy to them. They can't afford to get arrested for being involved in some type of drug transaction. It would be detrimental to their career. And they can't have that. They'll pay any amount of money for that not to happen. I've arrested many people who were buying drugs for the people that they worked for. When you try to get them to talk, some of them would just say that they were buying for a friend. And then when you would try to press them even more to get more information as to who these supposed friends are, that's when they just shut down and don't want to give you any more information at that point. I've worked cases where we would follow people and you would see these people coming out of multi-million-dollar apartments, and you clearly could tell that these people were not the people who lived there. They were not the residents. They were, as they would refer to them, as the hired help. These were the people that were just there to connect to the drug dealer. You would study their pattern. You would follow them for weeks. But these people are very loyal. They're paid a good amount of money for their loyalty. Getting to the people who live in these type of neighborhoods, it's not as easy as trying to catch your average drug dealer hanging out on the street. These people are more advanced than that. They are able to hide things better because of the money and the power that they have.
I was a former executive at a Fortune 500 company. There were only 3 people above me in the entire company. I had experimented with drugs in college, but never to the point where I was completely out of control. Over the years, I worked my way up the corporate ladder. Eventually, I landed a job as an executive with a Fortune 500 company. Over time, I was able to work my way up in the company and eventually became only 3 steps away from me being the president of the entire company. I started going to exclusive parties. I was hanging around other top level executives. And that's where I was turned on to cocaine. When you are at that level of wealth, you can have anything you want. And I mean anything. Anything you can think of, you can get. And when you're at that level of wealth and at that level of being able to have whatever you want at the snap of a finger, that can be extremely dangerous. My little cocaine habit turned into a big problem very fast. I was spinning out of control, and I got to the point where I wasn't even going into work. I was missing work on a regular basis. I can remember one time I was on a private jet flying to some exclusive party, and I can remember there being just this massive pile of cocaine on the table. I can remember thinking to myself, this is not going to end well. I remember waking up in some hotel room not knowing where the hell I was at. I ended up getting fired from my job, and I ended up in rehab. When you get to that level of success, you have to be able to control yourself. Because the opportunity to indulge in those type of things is always available.
I have a few people who work for me on the days that I'm not in the city. There are some clients who only want to do business with me. They only want to deal with me personally. There'll be times where a client of mine who only wants to deal with me will need something on one of the days that I'm not in the city. I've been flown in on private jets and been flown in on helicopters to bring these people what they want. That's the thing about these high-end customers. When these people want something, they are willing to pay anything to get it. Money is not a factor. They don't care how much it costs. Even if it costs extra, even if I charge them extra, it doesn't matter. Some of these people only want to do business with me, and they're willing to pay whatever price they need to make that happen. The days I'm in the city change from week to week. You got to be careful because these cops are out here looking for people who, have certain patterns. You have to make sure you break your pattern, not doing the same thing every single week, not in the city on the same days of the week. If the cops see me going into certain places on certain days, they see that pattern, they'll start to become suspicious. I have to constantly change up my pattern, change how I do things. But again, I'm not going to the ghetto and standing on the street corner selling drugs either. The cops usually stay away from the places that I go to. The cops know that these people are doing drugs just like poor people are doing drugs. But these people have the money, the power, and the influence to cause problems for the cops. And the cops know that. I'm not saying the cops aren't around. I mean, they're around, but they're not out in force in these neighborhoods like they are in some of these other neighborhoods. On a typical day when I'm in the city, I already have appointments lined up. I have appointments set up before I even come to the city. I might get a last minute call from a client who needs something last minute, but most of the time, my day's already planned out. I'm basically making house calls, just like a doctor used to back in the old days. These people want a certain type of medicine, and it's my job to supply it. I'll make the arrangements with these people, or I'll make arrangements through their assistants, or whoever they have working for them, depending on the customer and how they like to do business. I'll go to their place and make the exchange. It's very backroom deal, secret type stuff. I'm in and out of these places like a ghost. I'm not here to make friends with these people. I'm here to conduct business. This is strictly business. They need drugs, and I want their money. Some of the basic drugs that these people want are cocaine, weed, and pills. I have the CEO types, the Wall Street types, who like the cocaine. I have some, of my Upper East Side housewives. They kind of like the weed and the pills a little bit more. But it all depends on the customer. It can vary. I once got called to one of my clients' multi-million-dollar penthouses for a last-minute deal. It was a late night on a Saturday. I can remember walking into the building, and the doorman, he was familiar with me. I've been there many times. He told me that on that night I needed to use the secret elevator. I honestly thought he was joking at first. I had only known of the elevator that I had always used. I didn't know that there was an elevator that was known as the secret elevator. So I kind of laughed and kind of thought it was just him joking around. He takes me to this elevator that I didn't even know existed. I go up and I go to the floor that my client's on. I get escorted in and I meet with my client. I look around the room when I walk in, and everyone in that room was a notable person. I mean, there were movie stars, people you see on TV. It was pretty crazy. I was the only regular person in that room. So my client tells me the reason I had to use the secret elevator is because they were having some type of secret meeting and I had to be extra low key this night. I just quickly made the exchange. He handed me the envelope full of cash. And I handed him the drugs. And that was that. I was probably only in there for about 4 or 5 minutes. And then I was gone. But that's how things work when you're a high-end drug dealer in New York City.